Aloha. Welcome to Is This For Real? I'm Gregory Dunn, President and CEO of Hawaii's Better Business Bureau. Today, we're very fortunate to have with us Mr. Ep4, the Executive Director of the Hawaii Bankers Association and one of the driving forces behind Hawaii's partnership against fraud. Welcome, Ed. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, you know, we've known each other around town for a while, and you've had a great career in banking. Why don't you share with us a little bit about your background and where you've been and what you've done?
Well, I spent 38 years at First Hawaiian Bank and retired at the end of 2009. And was happily retired for 2.5 years or so until my wife said, "You need to get out of the house." So when she kicked me out of the house, I started to look for an opportunity to re-engage with the business community. And there was an opportunity for this position as the Executive Director of the Hawaii Bankers Association.
And so what is the Bankers Association? What does that
The
do?
Bankers Association is a trade group made up of the 11 banks in Hawaii, 8 of them headquartered here and 3 of them headquartered on the mainland with branches here. So, and we advocate for the banking industry, both at the legislature, in the media, and we do some community service activities like the Hawaii's Partnership Against Fraud. We help the food bank every year. And we try to advance banking as a career and provide training opportunities for bank staff where they don't have it.
Now, in terms of the Partnership Against Fraud, this was something that was the genesis of your working group. Why would the Bankers Association want to bring community groups together to help prevent fraud in Hawaii?
Well, the banks have always played a part in assisting our customers with fraud, more often than not after the fact. So we thought that we need to be more proactive from a preventive perspective. And the banks already have an obligation to report suspected fraud of the elderly. And in so doing, we've certainly seen how vulnerable, especially the seniors, are to these very sophisticated scammers out there today. So in order to be a little bit more proactive, we thought that we would try to play a role in educating our community about the dangers of financial scams. But in the course of trying to provide and prepare and design a program, we found that there's so many other resources already in the community that are doing so much to help especially our elderly. So we thought that, well, you know, rather than everybody doing their own thing, perhaps we can join forces and become then a louder voice and a more active voice in helping to educate and raise awareness about these scams.
And so you started doing this grouping, this hui, if you will, a couple of years ago or so, as I understand?
Yeah, we actually started in earnest in August of 2013, planning and looking for partners that might want to bring together their resources. Natural partners were certainly the state organizations, state and city organizations like Adult Protective Services and so forth. But then also we recognize that organization like yours, the Better Business Bureau, plays such a vital role in helping our community, and AARP in their efforts towards helping the elderly, and then law enforcement, certainly. We have in our coalition Honolulu Police Department, the City Prosecutor's Office, the FBI, Social Security Administration, even the postal inspectors get involved as needed. So really, it's a wonderful coalition, and part of this process is that they weren't aware of what the others were doing either. Mm-hmm. So by us getting together and meeting on a regular basis, everybody is better informed. All the community resources are better informed about what each of them are doing. And in so doing, we're coordinating a little bit better the activities that that are within the community, the outreach efforts to try to educate our community.
So it's been a real, a nice overall umbrella where the Bankers Association has been able to help coordinate these different groups' efforts to help the community and better serve the community without duplicating services. I know that when we first started talking, we realized that the BBB already has phone systems and staff manning the phones, and so we were able to provide call service intake so that the partnership or other members in the partnership wouldn't have to fund and support a call center to have people call in and report fraud or have questions about it.
Yes. We're very grateful to your organization, Greg. The Better Business Bureau has been really the backbone of our coalition. They provide the Voice Center. They've helped us create a website. And they're helping us. We're all helping to steer folks to either the website or the call center if they have any questions. If they and the whole premise of is this for real? The campaign, the TV and radio campaign that we initiated last year, was to get people to think twice before acting.
You know, that campaign, I was just having breakfast this morning, and a local business person said, geez, were that couple a husband and wife? Because they were perfect. They really got the message across, and it was really what they needed. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the public relations campaign and how that got started and how it was funded? I mean, many people may not realize, but those kind of activities cost real money.
Absolutely.
So where does that money come from to help put that program together?
Yeah, we had wonderful partners in our coalition, but all of them were either governmental agencies or nonprofits, and nobody had any money. And so nobody had any money in their budget, discretionary money in their budget. So the banks in Hawaii stepped up to the plate, and we funded a TV and radio campaign that lasted from mid-July through the end of December of last year. And we were able to enlist the creative services of a company called Olomana Loomis, who created the actual TV and radio spots. And they sought out the talent, the couple that were not married, but were active within the community. And yeah, they were ideal. And the spot has been really well received, and it's continuing to run as a public service announcement on the TV and radio stations. Our money ran out at the end of last year, so we're looking for additional monies through grants and what have you to hopefully fund continuance of this program.
Yeah, it was the program itself. Do you have any statistics off the top of your head of how successful it was in terms of the number of households it may have reached, or the reach within the community? Or
well, it's very difficult to gauge the success of television advertising, radio advertising. The only measure that we had was really voice, the telephone calls that came in, and we did absolutely see a spike in the phone calls that came to your voice center and elsewhere. With your voice center, we were able to track it very carefully. With the other agencies, more difficult to do so. It got commingled with their other calls. But we did absolutely see a spike. And I think if we saved the life savings of one person within the community, that would have been worth it. It's
really important to boil it down to that, because when you're thinking about how do you express to a potential donor, to a corporation, the importance of supporting this kind of work in the community, it may not initially seem like a heartstring appeal or something that is as appealing as a hot button topic or something that affects those less fortunate, whether it be a traumatic illness or a catastrophic loss or homelessness or hunger. But when you're talking about financial catastrophe or financial loss, that can really devastate people and exacerbate other problems in their lives.
Absolutely. One of the more common scams are these sweepstakes, where they tell you either via telephone or your internet that you've won $1 million, and all you have to do is send them a check for $1,000 for processing. Of course, you send them a check and you never hear from them again. So you lose $1,000. That's not your life savings. Mm-hmm. But there are other stories where especially the elderly have been scammed and literally lost their life savings. Yeah. And even after you tell them that this is a scam, they have been so brainwashed to believe that it is for real and that they're going to reap considerable rewards as long as they just cooperate with the scammers up front.
We've had people call in and say, particularly children or caregivers call in and say, my mom or my grandmother, this has been going on for 6 months or a year or 2 years, where it starts out at $300 and grows to $1,000, then it grows to $3,000, and they keep hearing back as long as they keep sending money. We had one person call in that she had mortgaged her home. She'd taken out mortgage and refinanced it and took all the cash out of the house to send that off, and was going to lose the house, and eventually did lose the house.
Yes.
Because most people don't realize that you're signing for that money. You're still responsible for it.
Yes, absolutely. It is really some real sad stories out there. And sometimes, the banks, most of the banks and their tellers, especially in the more rural neighborhood, suburban branches, they know their customers very well. So if a teller sees a customer that is behaving out of the norm, they will ask a lot of questions. Why do you need $20,000 today? Mm-hmm. Or why are you asking us to wire monies to such and such?
I've heard from a couple of seniors that they get put off by that they're like, that's the bank trying to keep my money. But in this case, it's the bank is trying to protect you and trying to help you to avoid being taken advantage of.
Absolutely, absolutely. And some customers do believe that all the banks are trying to do is to keep their deposits in the bank. And some banks have actually gone the extra step of saying, okay, sir or madam, hold on a minute. Let me put you in touch with the Better Business Bureau. They can explain to you what you're attempting to do and why it might be dangerous to your financial health. And so hearing it from an independent party.
So like right at the counter.
Right at the teller station.
So
yes.
The teller will dial the phone and hand the phone to them, and then they'll get in contact with someone at the Better Business Bureau who then talk to that customer and ask them what they're about to do and what they were told, and then
right, and that's been helpful.
Well, it's something that we see as being important, because though the entire world seems to be going to online and everything is available online, you can go to bbb.org, you can go to aapart.org, Scam Tracker, all these different tools that are available for you. But what many people miss is that a lot of seniors are not tied into those resources, and they still need that personal touch. They want to talk to somebody. They want someone to listen to their story, mm-hmm. and have the opportunity then to hear that back. I mean, it's something that generationally is very important for us all to remember.
Absolutely. And while there is an abundance of community resources out there that help you if you lost money from a sweepstakes, or if you are a victim of a Ponzi scheme, these multiple resources out there, you have to find them. Mm-hmm. And frankly, I have an elderly father. I'm not sure he would know where to begin to look to find the appropriate resource to help him. And that's why we have been so glad that the Better Business Bureau has stepped up to help us with the call center. So now if you think you've been scammed, or if you want to inquire about an opportunity that's been presented to you, we tell them to call the Better Business Bureau, and they will refer the call to a subject matter expert if necessary, to law enforcement or to the Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs, or whatever agency is best equipped to help you if you've already been scammed, or if you want further information on a particular scam. But we are really, really blessed to have your staff assisting us with these calls. Now it's one phone number. Call that number, and they'll help you.
You know, it's interesting you bring up that one phone number. Part of the campaign that we did included one of our banks, I think your former employer, included an envelope stuffer with their statements.
Yes.
There was a sweepstakes stuffer. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that and what happened as a result of that stuffer?
Yeah, actually, this was a stuffer. Our coalition created a stuffer that banks could use, banks or the other agencies to use. And if you can't see it, it says, "Congratulations, you've won a $100,000 sweepstakes." And then the tagline, "Is this for real?" And so one of the banks inserted this into their checking account statements. But to show you how gullible people are, or how naive maybe they are, several people thought they had actually, by looking at this sweepstakes, they actually had thought they had won this prize. And they were calling the number listed, which happened to be the Better Business Bureau's phone number, to ask not whether this is a legitimate campaign, but how do I claim my prize?
Right.
And that speaks to the necessity for us to be really proactive out there to help educate our community about these scams.
Well, I think that, you know, what happens a lot of times, and those of us that are still working and we're busy, we have a lot of things going on, we don't realize that there is an entire population of people aging in place. They're in their homes, they're many times alone, their kids are off. They probably are living on a fixed income and maybe not have been able to save as much. And we all know that Hawaii is getting to be a much more expensive place to live and exist. And so when you have a windfall unexpectedly drop into your lap, or a promised windfall of $100,000 or $1 million or $3 million, it's awfully enticing to get. And as one person that we talked to on the phone who had gotten a sweepstakes offer said, you know, it's $3,000, I'll chance them. You know, because if I can get $3 million, I'll got to give them $3,000 on the front end to pay the taxes, I'll take the chance. Not realizing that that's the hook, that they'll just keep coming back for more and more and more. There's no prize like that is there for them to win.
No, that's absolutely true. And it's really unfortunate. Statistics show that 80% of the victims of financial scams are people over the age of 60. And the crooks have figured out that this is a vulnerable target population for several different reasons. One, seniors typically have accumulated some money. You call somebody that's 25 years old, they probably don't have much money anyway. But seniors have accumulated their life savings and they're gearing up for retirement and living off those life savings. Secondly, they seem to be more trusting. And they also have more time to spend on the phone with you. And perhaps some of them have lost some of their mental faculties, so maybe they're not as sharp as they are. But they are the seniors are unfortunate victims and being targeted as such. But there are probably a lot of younger people that fall victim to these scams as well, because some of these scam artists are really, really persuasive.
Absolutely. They're very persuasive. They get you into the ether, as they call it, where you're not thinking rationally. They're enticing you with the promise of something to come, and that it's a limited time. You've got to do it now. You've got to do it now before you have time to think about it. I often tell people, especially seniors that have been brought up to say, well, you need to be polite, and if someone is calling, you're polite and you listen to them and say, no, thank you. I'm like, just hang up the phone. It's okay. It's, right. You know, that person's not your friend. You hope you'll never hear from them again. And just so if someone's trying to pressure you to send them money or making a promise of something, just hang up the phone.
Absolutely. And beyond the persuasive scammers, now there are some that are using threats. They purport to be from the IRS, and they say you owe back taxes of X amount. If you don't send in that check right away, you will be arrested. And others that say, we are basically holding your computer for ransom.
Oh, yeah.
We have infected your computer. Unless you pay us X amount, your computer and everything on it will be extracted, and we will use that for ill purposes. So, either they're persuasive or they're threatening, but they're getting through. They are effective.
Well, it's effective, and it's unfortunate that we have to broadcast the message that, one, the IRS is not going to call you and demand the payment right now.
Right.
You'll probably get a letter from them to show up down at the federal building on a certain day and a certain time, but they're not going to call you and say, you need to send us a check today or you're going to go to jail. I mean, first of all, they can't do that. It's against the law for them to threaten you, for the real IRS to do it. And secondly, they're not going to call you up on the phone in that manner. And then in the other case, certainly if someone is calling you to say, hi, I'm from Microsoft, or I'm from this computer company, and I'm calling to help you with your computer. If anyone calls you out of the blue, it's like, chances are they're not who they said they are. Because if you didn't ask for that help, there's no call center out there that's just calling up to follow up on some problem that you may have thought you had.
That's right.
You'll just be opening yourself up to future problems if you listen to that person and work with them.
Yes.
So, you're absolutely right that the scammers are getting more and more advanced. One of the tools that the Better Business Bureau has recently instituted in Hawaii is the Scam Tracker program. And so in what ways do you see that the Scam Tracker can help the community in terms of tracking and being aware of different scams that are happening?
Yeah, these scams, the scam artist seems to have a whole portfolio of tools, and they'll run one scam for a while, and they'll go dark with that scam and run another scam. So your Scam Tracker will be very helpful to us in identifying trends. What are the scammers doing today? And so that we can broadcast the message out, beware, it's sweepstakes scam time, or beware, it's the IRS scam coming. So we look forward to the Scam Tracker playing a very vital role in helping us identify current trends and pockets, geographical pockets where these things are happening. Sometimes, these scammers are not your nickel and dime crooks anymore. They're very organized criminal activities.
There are entire call centers that are dedicated to this kind of activity.
Right. And sometimes they move across the country. They try one region or one area, work that area until they've exhausted their odds of reaching or making money, and then they'll move to another area. And so, again, your Scam Tracker will help us identify these movements in criminal activities.
One of the nice tools about the Scam Tracker is that if a consumer has received a call on the phone or they've gotten something in the mail, they can go in and they can search by either the name of the purported organization, the name of the person that's called them, the telephone number, the type of promise or inducement that's been made. So it's a real feature-rich Scam Tracker tool that is crowdsourced, not only for Hawaii, but it tracks the entire United States, and it'll soon be rolled out for both Mexico and Canada, because we found that this is something that does cross borders. It's anywhere the telephone lines go, the scammers have found that it's easy to get people to send you money.
That's great. That's, and because there are different community resources out there doing different things, even the Honolulu Police Department, they might have a database of reported thefts and scams. The Attorney General's office might have a different database of the actions they've taken and the reports they've gotten. But there's no central database of all of these scams. So I'm hoping that your scam tracker system will play that role in one fashion or another.
Well, it's fortunate that through the support of Hawaii's BBB's accredited businesses, those businesses like the banks that are members of Hawaii's Partnership Against Fraud, their support through their annual dues have helped us to make these kind of enhancements to support the community. And so it's one way that community members can certainly protect themselves, is to always look for accredited businesses to deal with, because those are folks that have opened themselves up to review, they've been looked at in terms of licensing and criminal histories and consumer complaints. So, it's certainly something that we encourage people to support their local accredited businesses.
That's great. And one plea to our community. Unfortunately, there are a lot of cases that go completely unreported. Maybe the victim is too embarrassed to admit that they got scammed, or whatever the case may be. They don't want their families members to know that they lost all their money. So these cases go unreported, and that doesn't help anybody. So we encourage everybody to, if you have been victimized, report it, so somebody can hopefully help you and help others as well.
On the phone. They can call the number, or they can do it online, or they can do it by reaching out to any one of the other agencies, like the police department or prosecutor's office.
Exactly. And nobody will ever disclose that you've been scammed.
Exactly.
You don't have to worry about that.
It's not about shaming. It's about helping other people avoid that
absolutely,
problem.
Absolutely. Yes.
Well, Ed, I know you took time off from your personal activities to join us today. I really appreciate your time and your information. I know it's been very valuable for folks that have joined us today to hear about this. And thank you to all of the partners at Hawaii's Partnership Against Fraud for the work that you're doing to help protect the community and get the word out there that there are resources available and that people need to protect themselves.
Yes, thank you very much.
It's really fantastic. Hopefully we'll be able to find more funds to do more of the outreach and the next TV commercial. I know people are asking already when that next commercial is going to be coming out.
I wish we could be so effective as to put ourselves out of business, but that's not likely to happen. So we'll need to continue to be vigilant, and we'll need to continue to have important community resources like the Better Business Bureau and these other agencies to help our elderly, especially our elderly.
Well, thank you, Ed, very much for joining us today. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing what the Partnership Against Fraud does next.
Thank you.
Thank you. Aloha, and thank you for joining us. I'm Greg Dunn, President of Hawaii's Better Business Bureau. And remember to ask yourself, is this for real? If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Aloha and good night.